Alright, so today we're going to look at dividing with decimals, but first I'm going to just think of it as normal division. So, I do just have the problem 3 divided by 2. Okay, so 3 is my dividend, I'm dividing it by 2, my divisor, so I'm trying to figure out how many times 2 goes into 3, right? So another way I can look at that division is by making it a fraction. Okay, so I can also rewrite this as 3/2, and that works for any division. Okay, so now I can think of it as a fraction of 3/2. So 3 divided by 2. How many times can 2 go into 3? Well, that's 1, and I have 1 left over, so I have 1.5, which is equal to 1 5/10, which is equal to 1.5. Okay, let's think of it another way. So again, if I have 5, we're going to try that again. Okay, so I'm going to go 500 divided by 200. Okay. It can also be rewritten as a fraction of 500 over 200. Well, that fraction can be simplified down to 5/2, which then I ask how many times does 2 go into 5? Well, 2 goes into 5 twice, with 1 left over, 2.5, which I can rewrite as 2 5/10, which I can rewrite as 2.5, or 2 5/10. Okay, so that's just another way to think of it. We can always change it to fractions. Okay, so now let's think of it in terms of decimals. So if I have the number 63/100 and I'm dividing it by 7/100. Okay, so again, I'm going to think of those as fractions. So 63/100, so I would write it, divided by 7/100. Well, remember, one of our strategies for division is if our denominators are the same, I can just divide across. Okay, so and the reasoning is because, well, 100 divided by 100 gets me 1. Well, 63 divided by 7 is 9. 9 over 1 would just be 9. So 63/100 divided by 7/100 gives me an answer of 9. Okay. So now let's look at it another way. So if I have 623.5 divided by 5, I'm going to do it long division. Okay, so I'm going to go 623.5 underneath. Okay, now it's just long division. My decimal, I'm going to do nothing with my decimal in this problem, except for I'm going to move it up. The reasoning is this number 5 is a whole number already, and so I can divide just like long division. So, again, my steps, right? Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down. So divide, 5 goes into 6 one time, multiply, 1 times 5 is 5. Bring it down. 5 goes, now again, divide, 5 goes into 12 twice. So I put my 2 above my 2. 2 times 5 is 10. One thing I forgot to mention, as far as make sure you go back and put this in your math notes for dividing decimals, so that way you have it to look at for your assignment as well. Anyway, so I'm going to subtract 2. I'm going to bring down my 3. Okay, 5 goes into 23. 4 times 5, 20, subtract 3. Now, I brought my decimal up, So I just have to bring my 5 down. How many times does 5 go into 35? 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract, I get 0, so my answer is 124 and 7/10. Okay. Okay, so now what happens though if I have a number, two numbers are both decimals. So if I have, let's say I have the number 6.3 divided by 0.25. Okay, so 6 3/10 divided by 25 hundredths. Okay. Well, if I look at it in terms of long division, okay, that's how it would look. But basically, my question still is the same. I'm trying to ask myself how many 25 hundredths, or 1/4, go into 6 3/10. Okay, well, I'm going to think of it a different way. I'm going to try to make this into a whole number. Okay, so I want to make this into a whole number. Let's say 25. Okay, so by doing that, well, what do I have to do? I'm going to take my 0.25. Let's get a different color here. Okay. Okay, and if I multiply this 0.25 by 10, right, I move my decimal. Okay, I multiply by 10, I move my decimal, so now it's 2.5. So then if I do it again, my decimal is going to go there, and multiply it by 10. So I'm multiplying it by 10 twice, so basically I'm multiplying this whole thing times 100. Okay, so times 100 together to give me an answer of 25, or a number of 25, divisor there of 25. So I'm going to move it twice to give me a number of 25. Now, if I just left it like this and then I went to division, it would change the value of my number. So I can't do that, so because I did it to this side, I have to do it to this side, right? So I'm going to go times 10. Okay. Now, if I do it again, you'll notice that there's nothing there. Well, we know that 6.33 and 6.30, 6 3/10 and 6 30/100 are the same thing, right? That 0 does not change the value. I could put as many zeros on as I want, but I don't need to. Okay, so I'm just going to put 1 0, okay, in order to change my, so again, I'm going to times by 10, which basically means I'm multiplying it by 100. Okay, so down here it's going to look like that. My decimal is going to go there, and then I can just bring my decimal straight up. Okay, and now I'm ready to divide. So I have 630 divided by 25. So 25 can go into 63 twice. I'm going to put that 2 over 3. This is where lining it up is super important. 2 times 25 is 50. Okay, so I'm going to subtract, and I get 13 as remainder. With 13 left over, bring down my 0. Okay, how many times in 25 go into 30? Well, 5 times 25, 5 quarters, I have $1.25, so it goes in there 5 times. Okay, I'm going to subtract, and I get a 5 left over. Now, normally, we would put this up here, and we would make it 5. So we would have 25 and 5/25, right? Or 25 and 1/5. But with that decimal, okay, we can't have a decimal and a fraction. So this doesn't work. Okay, so what we can do is we can add a 0 at the end of our number, because it's after our decimal, right? So 630 and 630.0 are the same numbers, so now I can add a 0, and I can keep dividing. Bring down my 0, 25 goes in to 50 twice. 2 times 25 is 50, and there's my answer. Okay, so that's how we divide decimals. We have to get this number, a whole number, do the same thing here, and we can just do our long division. Alright, let's try one more problem here. Okay, so let's do, I don't know, 0.3 divided by, or 6.23, let's see that, divided by 0.3. So 6 and 2300ths divided by 3/10. Okay, so first thing, I'm going to make this 3/10 into a 3 by multiplying it by 10. So I can move my decimal over one place. Okay, so because I did that, I got to move my decimal over one place again. Remember, put in your notes. Okay, so pause that video right now. Put this in your notes. Alright, so now I'm going to move my decimal up. So I have 62.3. Remember, my decimal's right there now. Okay, divided by 3. So that might do my division. I'm going to divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. So, how many times does 3 go into 6? That's twice. 2 times 3 is 6. 0, 2, okay. 3 can go into 2 0 times, so 0 times 3, 0. Subtract, bring it down. Okay, how many times does 3 go into 23? 7 times 3 is 21. 2, so remember I can add a 0. Bring down my 0. How many times does 3 go into 20? 6 times 3 is 18. 2. Now, you could keep going and going and going until, but I'm going to tell you right now, when you get to 2 decimal places, okay, 1, 2, so your hundredths place, you can stop. So 20 and 76 hundredths is your answer. Okay? You don't even have to worry about this remainder, because this one is actually going to keep repeating. Because if I add another 0, it'd be 20. 3 goes into 26 times. 6 times 3 is 18. We would keep going over and over and over again. So it would be 20.76. And then that 6 would repeat. Meaning it would go on and on forever. But we're going to leave it at 20.76. So that is how we divide decimals.